Hey, what's up? Good evening, everybody, and welcome to Chicagoland Baseball Chronicles. I'm your man, Bo Rab, and you know the business. If you woke this morning, if you woke up, you are winning. What's up, Bill?
Hey, what's going on, Bo? We got another good one on tap today. Definitely been looking forward to this one all week.
Yeah.
Today we go back out to the west side of Chicago and Mr.
Westside.
Mr. Anthony Kelley, or high school, drafted out of high school but didn't sign, goes over to Nebraska, University of Nebraska, where he's a member of the University of Nebraska Hall of Fame. Played professionally with the Houston Astros, Baltimore Orioles, and has a lot of great history in the Chicago semi-pro leagues that we want to dig into.
Yeah,
So let's
athletes.
bring him out now, Anthony Kelley.
Absolutely.
All right,
Big
what's up?
Kels,
What's
Big
up?
Kels.
All right. Sure, appreciate it. Thanks for having me.
Yeah,
Thanks for
welcome to the
jumping on
show.
with us today, Anthony.
Absolutely, man. Hey, thank you again for coming on the show, but I'm gonna get straight into it with you, man. Coming up on the west side. How
Westside?
did absolutely, and we don't get this often. We had Dusty on here, and we got a few more
Yeah.
brothers coming. So we want you to get in depth, about this West Side. How did you basically like get started, and what area were you at, man? Tell us about it.
Yeah, basically there on Chicago Avenue by Chicago Avenue and Pulaski. That's where the Orr High School is, and so we grew up in that neighborhood, and right there on Hamlin and Chicago. I was on Hamlin and Chicago Avenue. So I grew up playing around Big Roy Johnson. If you remember Roy, he played over
Absolutely,
there. So
Roy Johnson. Yes.
Roy was a senior. I was a freshman. And then they have, like Orlando Massey, if you remember him, and then they have
Yes.
some other guys. And so Roy actually started off playing with the Braves over on the west side. And
Franklin
so
Park.
Franklin Park, right there over in, I think that was over in K-Town area.
14th and Trip.
14th and Trip. And Roy would always tell me about this team that they was playing with, although I was like 14 years old at the time, so I really couldn't
Wow.
play. And so we had this great recruiter, Fred Gardner, was the manager of Braves at that particular time. So Roy would stay in touch with me and talk to me about what they were doing. And so after my freshman year over with Orr, I had just turned 15, and I started playing with the Braves that following year. And so that's what got me introduced into semi-pro baseball over in Franklin Park was Fred Gardner. And over with the Braves, so I was like one of the youngsters, and they, they would like taking care of me, and anything that I needed, they tried to make sure that they took care of me, just like Askew used to do, because Askew, he was a legend, taking care of ball players, especially young broke players,
Absolutely.
So
Tell me this, man. Like y'all didn't have y'all didn't have little leagues in the West Side or different park district stuff that y'all played, or
we
you
had
just
them
had to jump straight
over in
to it.
Yeah, we had it
freezing
over in Garfield Park. We played in Garfield Park. We played over in Columbus Park. We played in Humboldt Park. So we went all around. When I was younger, I was playing with this team called the Blue Jays. So we had the West Side Blue Jays. And we had another dynamite team, like over there, because all of us love to play baseball, but the older guys were the ones that were setting the tone for us. So, we would sit around and talk to them, but for the most part, we would play in it was like Connie Mack. We didn't have the Jackie Robinson West. We always wanted, we heard about Jackie Robinson West, but you was on the south side and we on the west side. So we would play Connie Mack baseball over on the west side. So like I said, like we played over in Humboldt Park, Garfield Park, Columbus Park, all of those places, dominating, of course.
So you guys were playing against the Hispanics on a regular basis.
Oh
in
yeah,
those park districts. Are you going in and out?
Yeah, especially over there. That's where you definitely will go over there.
So then with this experience playing with these older guys, soaking everything up. You go on to what year do you start kind of distinguishing yourself over at Orr? I know you had some big time games over at Orr High School.
Well, I started getting recruited professionally. We had the scout of all scouts was Art Howell with the Kansas City Royals. So
Art Stewart. Art
Stewart, that's his name. Art Stewart, that's right. Yeah. Art Stewart, he was the recruiter of all recruiters, the scouts of all scouts, because he actually came in the neighborhood. So Art was not afraid to come out to talk to, like the little black players up around in there. And so my sophomore year, we were dominating over, we played far south, dominating up around on the west side at that particular time. And so my junior and senior year is when I really start developing everyone, start knowing about who I was, because of the development that I got over with the semi-pro over in Columbus, over in Franklin Park.
Tell me about this right here. Coming up and you getting all this. We don't get a chance now. I've been trying to get some of the guys to talk about it, and you into it because this is where you getting your schooling. You talking about Roy Johnson, you playing in the Afro leagues that's like non-existent. How was that playing against in the Afro leagues and some of the people that you played against or teams? Talk about that.
Yeah, we played against the Steel City Giants, the Wendy's, the Chicago Wendy's.
Yes.
There was I think there was some teams on the south side we played. We're so familiar with who we were playing. We would play with the Pirates. Askew Pirates. They was always that was a home and away. Like we'll play them about 4 or 5 times a year. Askew play with everybody. So the thing about that is I was playing with all of these adults. And by me playing with them, see, the beauty about this is a lot of those older guys had played in the original black baseball league before it turned over to the African American League. So we grew up hearing about the Indianapolis Clowns, the Kansas City Monarchs, all of those particular older teams that was around prior to, and the older guys would be telling us all of these stories about shadow baseball, and they would be telling us about how they took infield, on how people came to the parks dressed up, coming to see them, and all of these stories, fascinating stories about people that we just thought about, and they was telling us the stories about these individuals. And the beauty about that is that by being around these guys, they used to tell us about going to the African American Museum. And when I first went into the African American Museum in Kansas City, I just broke down and started crying because all of the stories that the guys I played with was right there in front of me. All of the history, all of the people, the names that I didn't know about, they were right there in front of me. All the film that they were showing us about shadow baseball, about taking infield with no baseball, just a fake bat, fake ball. All of that stuff was over at the Kansas City Museum, African American Museum, and they would tell us all about all these stories about stuff like that. So they was already priming me for the next. They're teaching the next generation for the next generation. So I had the privilege
still in high school
down there. Absolutely. I'm 16, 17 years old. I didn't know anything about that, but they were telling me all the things about all the people that played in the African American League. They was telling us how these things had got started, like the Chicago, how the Wendy's came about, how Askew came about, how all of these, and it was like a family. We played against one another, but in the African American League, it was still family because everybody knew everybody. And so I used to like things, about growing up in that league. I never did go to play any place else other than that particular league, because
Yeah, it was
people
that
taking
much
care of
competitive, and it was competitive,
yes,
very competitive.
very much competitive.
Right.
And
I
we
tell
get to
people all the time.
travel a lot.
Absolutely.
So
Absolutely. That's good
this is the
stuff.
education on the field and off the field for you.
Absolutely.
Mhm.
And it taught us,
Go ahead,
No,
Bill.
go ahead. I'm sorry.
it taught us, like as an African American individual, how to take care of one another. Because as me being a 16-year-old, I was everybody's son.
Mm.
And so if I needed a glove, someone would get it for me. If I needed shoes, and so that precipitated down to the next, like when Dusty will tell you when he started coming around us, if he needed something, we would take care of it. If they wanted this here, we'll make sure that they got everything that they would need, like to move forward. Just jumping into Dusty, he the one that stopped us from winning a state championship that particular year. Because I know his mom, man, we had went over to his mother's house in my senior year. My junior year was going to a senior, and we went over to her house and we begged her. We said, Ms. Rogers, could you please let him come? If he come to our school, we definitely going to win the championship the next year. We'll take care of him. We'll keep him out of trouble. This, that, and the other. They still send him over to a proviso West and messed us up.
He told us that story too. Hey, speaking of that, tell us about the journey at Orr, because y'all play some monumental games up on the West Side. Had some good rivalries, Lane Tech and Clemente. That was like y'all see all the whole flick. They played Lane Tech and Clemente on a regular basis. That was. Were you guys in the same section, or no? That was a different section. I'm not sure. How did that go? Talk about.
We were in the red. We were in the Red West. So we was in the Red West. Lane Tech was over on the north side. So
Red
we
North.
would, and then there was Prosser that was over in that area. We had
Taft. Did you play Taft?
Mark, say it again.
Did you play Taft, or Taft was Red North?
Yep, we played Taft. They were further north. We call, like the white boy schools, you know what I'm saying? So when we get a chance to go over there, play Kennedy, because Kennedy had a couple first round draft picks.
Big Christensen.
Christensen. Yeah. Well, I had to, do him dirty too. Yeah.
You never played against Israeli Sanchez.
Schurz a good baseball doing that. No, I didn't play against him. I think I met him when he was with Kansas City. Okay.
Absolutely. He's the big lefty they had at Von Steuben.
That's right. I saw him when he was in Kansas City. He was with the Kansas City Royals. Matter of fact, Art was out there, man. That's right. Art was definitely out there.
Who was your biggest rivalry in you guys' conference?
We would have like Marshall, Austin had a few good teams, like here and there. But the most that we would have was Clemente, when we got chance to play against them, because it would be us against them who would go into the districts. So, because normally we would win our particular district, our area, our section, we would win that. And then we would go into the playoffs, and we couldn't get past. I think we had lost 1 year over to Clemente. We lost 1 year to Taft or something like that. But that following year, that's when we had started dogging people. Like over at Lane, and then in that championship game, we ran into a little guy by the name of Marvin Freeman. So I got to get him a little because I didn't know somebody had gas like I had gas, because I just give them that. So when I faced, I had faced Marvin in that championship where it was the semifinals. I had faced Marvin, so I had to give him credit. Marvin was bringing it that particular day.
I was at that game.
I wasn't on my
best friend. Don't forget my best friend Stanley Palmore. That's my
Oh
best
yeah.
friend.
Okay.
Yes.
So yeah, we had a
Exciting
lot of
games.
good times, like they say, you had them titans and then the games that would go
Now I
on,
saw
over on that side. We held our own, or held our own.
I saw a big article once, and one that I got from you when you guys beat Lane Tech. What year was that,
Yeah,
and where was that at?
that was in 80. I believe that was 1980, my senior year, and that was for the district championship. And they were heavily favored to beat us, but they didn't know Anthony Kelley at that time.
Ah,
So they had I think they had about 3 or 4 guys that had got drafted that year.
yeah, they
Uh,
did.
but they that wasn't a good day for them because they met me on my day. And so yeah, I think I had about 12 strikeouts that day. And we put it on them, and we wind up getting over there to White Sox Park after that, for to the semifinals during that particular time. So yeah, they had some pretty good
Now,
teams, Lane Tech, Steinmetz, Schurz, and places like that. Hmm.
So,
okay,
so
come.
Anthony, when you leave when you graduate from Orr, you're drafted by the Mets, but you chose not to sign with the Mets at that time. What was that? What was it like being drafted, and what played into your decision not to go into the major leagues out of high school?
Yeah, this is where when you have good people around you that's giving you good advice. Where I was always with, like I said, that African American League. When I had those adults around me, and this is where I had a lot of good people giving me the proper advice that I needed to know, for career decisions. And so the first thing that one of the guys on the team had told me, they said, well, don't sign with them if they don't give you enough money that's equivalent to a 4-year scholarship,
Mm-hmm.
to a 4-year college scholarship. Make sure that comes into play. The next one had mentioned to me is don't sign if the person doesn't care about you. If you're just that number that they're trying to sign to make sure that they fill up this and that, then make sure that you don't just make a rational decision, irrational decision because you've been drafted. You can, baseball will always be there, but your schooling and your life, won't be there. You only got one chance at that. So make sure that those things came into play. And so when the Mets came calling it was I can't remember his name, the one that came to my house, and what they had laid out for me was a program that where the money that they were giving me and the schooling not equivalent to, it didn't match up to a 4-year paid scholarship. And
Okay.
so when I
Absolutely.
started talking to him about that, he said that, well, we had signed our first round draft pick at that year. His name was Daryl Strawberry. We
Okay.
had signed him, and we had to give him so much money, and we just didn't have a lot of money left over. And then the person that got drafted in front of me, another Chicago brother, Lloyd McClendon. And I didn't know that Lloyd was 8th and I was 9th. And so that person, he was in front of me, but I didn't know,
I didn't know that. We just
yeah, I
learned
didn't
that.
know.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. Yeah, Lord, he's all right. That's my boy there.
Yeah, it's
So
my guy.
anyway, yeah, they had said that, yeah, they had gave him, they gave Strawberry so much money, they didn't have enough money to give to me. And so I said, well, I need money to make sure that if something happened to me, that I'll be able to go and be able to have some money left over to take care of me, like down the road. So he didn't come with enough cash, to equip, to equate all of
Absolutely.
that what I had needed. So here's another thing that came about. There was this guy by the name of Stan Kiles that we pay attention
My
to that.
man. My
Stan
man.
had signed to go to Nebraska prior that year. He was going to go to Nebraska, and he chose and he went with the Cubs. So that led into me thinking about, okay, so I was being recruited by about 4 or 5 different other Division I schools, but Nebraska was one that stuck in my mind because I was saying, if that was good enough for Stan Kiles, that should be good enough for me also. So I was equivalent. I was putting together how much money would it take for me to go to the University of Nebraska, and how much money are they
Good
giving?
stuff.
So
Good
it didn't.
stuff.
So that was one of the reasons why I did not go to go play professional baseball at that time,
Smart
because
man.
in the long run, it's a hit or miss. In the long run, here we go. So that's what led into that. And like I said, playing with the African American in the African American Baseball League, I wouldn't have had that opportunity to meet grown men, giving you good advice at that time about baseball, because some of them had played professional baseball before.
Absolutely.
And they
Had been there and came back. Yep.
and they out there, trying to still hustling. You know what I'm saying? And they talking about, man, I wish I would have went to school. And so they would always tell me, hey, look at it from this perspective. So that's how I went. That's how I went that direction.
That's good stuff.
Outstanding.
Good
Sounds like
stuff.
you really went through a thorough process before making this decision.
Yeah.
So now you're on your way, University of Nebraska, kid from the west side of Chicago. We know you went on to have a great career in Nebraska. You're part of the Nebraska Hall of Fame. But initially, leaving Orr, Chicago and Pulaski, you go to Nebraska. What was that like? What was that experience like?
Yeah. How was that, man? How was
Hey,
this?
Culture shock.
Yeah. In the middle of nowhere.
Hey, look, man. Look,
Middle of nowhere.
you are absolutely positively right. I had went in, excuse me.
Hotline.
Hold on, I'll call you back in a minute. Okay.
It's the first time, people. It's the first time on Chicagoland Baseball Chronicles. Y'all know this stuff is real. Moving right along.
Yeah, it was a definite cultural shock for me going there. Everything was very much different, to say the least. I was, when I first went there, and so I tell you what helped me out when I first got there was the brothers on the football team. So you had a lot of brothers from
California,
different areas.
Well, they came
Texas,
from everywhere. So, Oklahoma. Who was the coach? Who was the coach there when you was there? I'm trying to think.
Tom Osborne was the coach.
Osborne.
Tom Osborne. The
glory days for Nebraska.
Yeah, he was there in the glory days, boy. The mink coat days, buddy.
So I was friends with a brother by the name of Roger Craig. So Roger Craig that played with the San Francisco 49ers.
I got his jersey in the back, my favorite running back.
So Roger Craig took me under his wing. Jimmy Williams, he was around there. And I came in with Turner Gill, Irving Fryer, Mike.
He played baseball too. Turner Gill played baseball. Shortstop.
Yes, he did. Yeah, he was for Nebraska, but he came in there, played shortstop, second base. He played with us for a year. So Roger Craig, Irvin Fryer, Mike Rozier, so all of us, we had came in. So they sort of like guided me and took me around and helped me out. And then they had because I was struggling in school, because hey, look, man, I'm coming from the West Side, and and they talk, we got the most we had was like 30 people in class, and I'm sitting in the class with 100. And I'm just sitting around looking like, oh yeah, okay. So needless to say, my first year in college, I struggled tremendously. I had a tutor for every class. Every class that I had a tutor for that. And the person that helped me out with that, her name was Ursula. You probably don't know her, but she was the same person that helped another guy by the name of Magic Johnson when he was over at Michigan State. So she used to tell me about this guy that they called Magic, that she used to help get through classes and so on and so forth. So she was saying, and she called him, he was Irving to her. And so she was telling me about some of the things that he had to do to get through school. And she was telling me, so here's what I need for you to do to get through. So she got me tutors for every class that I needed to go to, which was cool. And so I started hanging out with some of the brothers on the football team, which was cool. And they sort of like got me settled. But the thing, what really happened is like what was a big turn was my freshman year. The first game that I went out to pitch, I had pitched against the third ranked team in the nation, which was Oklahoma. Mm-hmm. And I threw a no-hitter against Oklahoma, which was the third ranked team in the nation. My first time going out.
Your first time going out.
First time out.
That's a conference game. That's a conference game.
Conference game.
Damn.
Conference game. First time out. No hit them. They didn't know what hit. They didn't know what came out. You got this here, brother, Westside, da. So yeah, third rank in the nation. I no hit Oklahoma, and that just took off around the state. So after that, I was known everywhere. So people all came to watch me play, and that sort of settled me down, settled me in, so on and so forth. And then here we go. But let me tell you though, after that, I didn't win another game my freshman year after I know it.
So Anthony, let's take a minute. Let's talk about you on the mound. What is your pitch mix like? What are you touching the radar? What are you like on the mound? Are you attacking hitters? Are you kind of what is your game like?
Oh yeah, like coming out from school, I was just a beast. I just go out there, hey, let's go 1, 2, 3, boom, 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 fastball, more fastballs, and another fastball. Right. Okay, so that's what I would do. So when I went to Nebraska, I developed a split finger. So I started working with that. And so at that particular time, no one really knew what that pitch was. They only saw it when Bruce Sutter was throwing it. And that's where I would start learning, watching Sutter throw the pitch. And so then somebody had told me what he did to get his fingers prepared for throwing that pitch. So I began to do that. And so I started playing and tinkering around with it and so on and so forth. And then the next thing I started mastering that pitch. And so I could throw it, 3-2, didn't matter. Just throw, and just that splitter. And so teams, they hadn't seen that pitch before. And so the more experience I got throwing the splitter, the better. So then I was throwing a fastball, a splitter, and I had what they call a rinky-dink curveball. So that wasn't helping.
Change your pace.
So yeah, so that that sort of like helped me out a little bit, and I developed we call it a little room service changeup. I developed that, but my pitch was that fastball, splitter, and then I throw like something off speed. So that's what I was doing in college.
What was you clocking?
I was around 92, 94, right up around in that area. Wow. Is where I was throwing, from those times. And like I said, you just back in that time, you can get away 1-2 pitches, and so let's move on. But as you know, like when you start going into the professional game, you had to start figuring some things out. So later on in my career, I developed that cut fastball. So I would throw the split finger, and then I really developed the changeup. So I had 4 pitches that I would throw. So that's like over the years, you keep on working around, and so that's what I had developed from there.
Good.
Now, while you were at Nebraska, y'all played in a power. That was a power conference too. Power baseball conference. I noticed in the summertime, I didn't see you. So in the summer, did you stay there and play summer ball? Yeah, I didn't see you in Afro League.
Yeah,
How was that? How was that? How was that?
That was another thing. Okay, here we go. There, I was getting ready to come back home my freshman year. I was getting ready to come back home to Chicago. And then a guy by the name of Bob Steinkamp came up to me, and he had this team in Beatrice, of all places, Beatrice, Nebraska. I'm like, Beatrice, Nebraska? Who goes to Beatrice, Nebraska, And he
Cows.
said,
Cows. Cattle.
Right, exactly. He was telling me, he said, no, he said, this is a powerhouse. He said they have a powerhouse baseball league called the Jayhawk Baseball League. Okay. So in this particular baseball league, either you played in the NBC, the Jayhawk Baseball League, or you will go over to Anchorage, Alaska. Okay, so everybody, you either go, they had Anchorage, Alaska, Cape Cod League, or the Jayhawk League. Okay, so either
Cape
one of
Cod
those.
Is still big.
Correct. And the Jayhawk League is also. So anybody that played in those particular leagues, you're playing the top-notch baseball in the country. So who was playing in that league? You had person by the name of Roger Clemens played in that league. Another guy by the name of Spike. You had another guy by Ozzie Smith came up through this here league. So you had professional players that played in this particular league. So I didn't know anything about that. So what he told me is, you come and play in this league, and I guarantee you'll be playing against the best players in the nation. And yes, that's what that's what was happening playing in that Jayhawk League. We would, go out into the California area and play teams out in California. You would play teams around the country, and then at the end of the year, you would play in this big tournament that was in Wichita. And so I stayed in those particular areas playing with those, with that particular team. And it was the Beatrice, they call it the Beatrice Bruins, which, what worked to my benefit with that is, by me going and staying and play with that team, I was able to go to school also. So I would keep my credits going just in
So
case.
you went to summer school while you were playing with them.
Yeah. So I started figuring out, you go to summer school, so if I mess up somewhere, I still have credits.
You have a cushion.
So
you're on the scouts' radar by playing on this league. You're still on the radar of these scouts.
Yeah, these are the best leagues out, because West Chamberlain went to Anchorage. Marvin went to the Cape Cod League. It was like that. Yeah.
Yep.
That was pretty cool. But go ahead, man.
Yeah, so you go to either one of those particular leagues, and you doing all right, because that's where all the scouts will come out to either one of those particular leagues, and see all of these hit players, and it wasn't, it wasn't that the Cape Cod League had all the players and stuff like that, or this league had all the players. No, there was 3 pretty good leagues that they were all doing pretty well, and so that's what. Yeah.
How did you do those particular summers?
Really well. West Side guy. I did really well.
Okay, pretty
I,
cool.
I, I got I got I got I got a lot. Like even like I said, my freshman year at Nebraska was a bad year, but the following year I was what they call Big Eight player, Big Eight pitcher of the year during that
Oh,
particular
wow.
time. So I was all Big Eight. I was all Big Eight during that particular time. Made the all Big Eight team because we hadn't turned into the Big 10 yet or the Big 12 yet.
Right,
We hadn't
right.
turned to the Big 12 yet. So
It
I was
wasn't the Big
all
12
Big
either.
Eight.
Okay,
No, it
okay,
wasn't the Big 12 yet. It was you went from the Big 8 and they went to the Big 12 like later on down the
okay.
line. So, and so that's how, that's how I got to be in Nebraska Baseball Hall of Fame is during those summer times and things like that. So that just helped me out a lot more because of what I was doing when throughout the state
Okay.
Good stuff.
Okay.
Good stuff. So coming
playing
up
with the Astros.
out of Nebraska, you got drafted. This is when you got drafted, and this time you signed with Houston Astros. Tell us
Mhm.
about that journey.
Yeah. Yeah, what was happening during that particular time is I didn't grow uh, as best as I could have when I was at Nebraska. I could have, as I said, I developed more pitches when I got into the professional lane, because in college, I had like two pitches, dangle here, dangle there, and so I think that's one of the things that probably didn't help me because I didn't develop another effective pitch other than the splitter, which I was still working with. The fastball was still good, but they always want to see you with that either that Big 12-6 or that good slider, sinker, stuff like that. And so that's one of the things that I believe that sort of like going into the draft. So what happened is I was wind up becoming the 18th pick of Houston, and I decided to go ahead and make that transition from college because I kept saying to myself, okay, you're either going to do it now or next year, if you go out, they'll offer you a bag of balls and peanuts and say, "Here, you want this or
Right.
what?"
Yeah.
You
Right.
know?
Right.
Well, after your
Right.
senior year, you would lose a lot of that leverage after your senior year.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Right. Right. Right.
So I was saying, now wait a minute, now let me think about this a little bit. So I didn't want to, you can get drafted, with the first pick, and they say, well, here, either you want to play or you don't. So I didn't want to be against the wall in that area. So I just said, well, okay. So Houston wound up drafting, and I still took a while for me to make that decision because I was just about to go back to school. But the scout that signed me told me, don't go back to school, just hold up for a little bit. Think about the offer. Don't go to class. Think about after you think about it a little bit, then give me a call. So what I did, I called the baseball coach. My coach was John Sanders. So I called him and I told him, hey, I'm coming back to school. And he said, well, fine, that's great. I'm glad that coming back, you'll be an asset to the team, da 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 da. And so that following week, I wind up signing with the Astros and left because it was difficult. It was, because you want to start thinking about, okay, like, what about me? What about my family? Do I put this on hold? Do I do this here? Like what should go on? So I just went on and signed with the Astros during that particular time, and it was less money than what I thought I would get. But, hey, here we go. You either want to play or you don't. So they sent me out to the New York Penn League is where I actually started at my first year out there.
Is that single A?
Yes. Yeah, that's that low A ball.
Low A.
It's low A ball.
Yeah. Where they send, like when you as a college player, they'll send you either to that league, which is that the New York Pens, King. There was another league but they'll start you right there with at that league. The ones that need more development there need rookie ball. So, but I didn't, I didn't go there. So I just went to that lower A league. And then that following year, they sent me back to A ball. And then I dominated during that particular year, and thinking that they're going to send me up, but me and Houston, we just got we had some problems.
So what year are we now, Anthony? Are we at 84 now? 83 that you're with the Astros?
Yes, yeah. 83 was my first year with the Astros, and like I said, I was in a New European. I think I went 5-2 that year. It was decent. I did my thing. And had some success. Starting out. Just struggling and learning how to be a professional.
So you always been a starter. You never out of the bullpen. You always
nobody's on one player. You don't.
You've always been a starter, even.
Yeah, they tried to put me in the pen. Let me see. Double-A, they was trying to send me back. That's why I said me and Houston, we had some issues because I had just went 16-9 that particular year, the year prior to. So they send me back. They send me back to Double-A, and I'm asking them, why are you sending me back here? So what they're doing, they're sending me back there, and then they're going to talk about that. Well, we're gonna have you put you in this type of position or something like. I'm like, what are you talking about? You're gonna put me in a different type of position? Is that And they say, well, we're gonna have you come out the pen. I say, come, not saying, and that's when I started. I'm ready to go. I'm ready to get out of Houston because they were seeing me doing different things. I did not see me coming out of the pen. That wasn't my mentality. I've always been a starter, and so why are you putting me in the pen now? But once again, when you think about those particular things, like right now, I would say, hey, put me in there because you could still make it. But back in the time when I was playing, either you are a short relief. There was no future for long relief back in that time. Either you're a starter or you're coming out
short
the pen
relief.
for gas. Okay, short relief.
Gas,
that's it.
right?
That's it. So I wasn't the type that can throw 90 one day, come back and throw 90 the next day. That wasn't me. I had that recuperation time. So that they were trying to use me up like that. So what wind up happening after that? They sent me back to Double-A, so I wind up killing them again. So then that's when I became pitcher of the year that particular year. And they kept me in Double-A for some reason. Don't ask me why. But I wind up. I was supposed to be the starter of the All-Star game for Double-A that year. But I had to pitch that following day. So they talked me out of not being the starter. So they put this here guy in there by the name of Tom Glavine. And so, so
just
Tom,
some guy, huh?
Yeah, they put this here guy. Hey, look, like I always told them, I'm Anthony Kelley. I don't care who Tom Glavine, JR. It didn't matter to me. You know what I'm saying? Is that, but they put this guy in there by the name of Tom Glavine. So after that particular game, me and Tom, we had got on the plane. I had to go one place. I was going to Charlotte, and he was going somewhere. I said, so where you going? I said, why are you going to Atlanta? He said, well, they just called me up. I said, they just called you up? I said, how's that? He said, well, after this here game here, after they saw how I did, then they just went on and moved me up like that. And I'm like, dang, now I wonder, should I have pitched this here particular game?
Yeah.
So you were jockeying between Double-A, Triple-A, Double-A, Triple-A.
No.
Between.
I was they just kept me in Double-A. Then after that year, I'm pitcher of the year that year. Then they moved me to Triple-A. I never went down, but they wouldn't move me up. So that was the thing, is that
Kansas City Shuffle.
I was always And I used to tell him, look, just either you could trade me, or just release me so I can go and do something else. So I thought I was out of there one day because there was this here other young guy that came over by the name of Kenny Lofton. So
Mhm.
Kenny Lofton, there was a trade that was going on, and so they put Kenny Lofton in there, and I was asking them to trade me, so send me over, because Cleveland at the time, they was at the bottom of the basement.
Mhm.
I was just saying, hey, just go ahead and send me,
Give me a
over.
shot.
Yeah, let me go with Kenny and send me over here and do da 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 da. No, we're going to use you. We're going to keep you, because you're going to have the opportunity to do this here. You're going to be one of our 5 players that we call up, and this, that, and the other. So I'm like, well, yeah, well, okay then, but why don't you guys just go ahead and get rid of me too? And so no, that didn't happen. So going back to that one situation with Glavin, they was making that youth movement, and I was supposed to go into that particular draft, but another young man by the name of Marvin Freeman had went over in that, and he went with that youth movement during that year. And so Houston wind up keeping me that year, telling me they're going to use me, they're going to do this here, but never brought me up that particular year. So I went, and then they come back to me. They say, well, if you can win uh, 15 games, then we're going to make sure that we bring you up. So I'm like, well, how come I have to do it? Why do I have to do that? So I know that I had a big mouth, and I'm, and I'm not, I'm one of the ones, I'm gonna talk up for myself. I'm not stupid. You're not playing these games. You're not paying me. This guy's getting more money than me, and this, that, and the other. Maybe some of those things that I'm saying, you probably don't like it, but it's the truth. So, well, if you win 15 games, we're gonna bring you up. So I wound up winning 13 games in AAA. Yeah. All right, wind up winning 13. So everybody saying, oh, yeah, he's gone, he's gone, he's gone, he's gone. Did not bring me up. So what they wind up, I mean, not even for a cup of coffee. So that's why I was just saying, I'm off, man. Like I won like about, I think I was about 50, 55, 55 and 20 or something like that. I know I'm 2-1 in wins and losses with the Astros. Did not bring me up, did not do anything for me. So what I wind up doing, they wind up sending me over to winter ball. So I went over to Venezuela, someplace that I never wanted to play winter ball, because I always like to rest during those times, because like I'll go 200 innings every year. So you need to relax and recuperate. Yeah. So I was having like 4 complete games a year, about 3 or 4 shutouts a year. So like I said, my record speaks for itself. You could just see it; it's right there in front of you.
Absolutely.
But they're sitting up there. They didn't move me or do anything. But as I said, maybe because of the education, I don't know. But that's what I just assumed. But anyway, I wind up going over to Venezuela, which was, it was a great experience. Had a good job, but I never really wanted to go. So went over there and played, and then I came home. Then they brought me to big league camp.
Okay.
So
spring training.
Okay.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm in big league camp that whole year. So I was the last person that they sent down from spring training. I was the last person that they sent down with the promise that they were going to bring me up. But I wind up getting hurt. But and that's one of the reasons why I never wanted to go to winter ball, because I know that it's a strain. Yeah, it's extra pitches, strain on your body. You gotta, you gotta relax. You gotta do certain things, And so, like right there in the middle of the year, the middle, I think we were in April, May. I think we were probably right up at June is when I had got injured, and man, it was just like one of those things. But that's how it went with the Stros during that particular time.
Okay. Wow.
So now we know that you also spent some time with the Baltimore Orioles, and is that where you closed out your professional career with Baltimore Orioles?
Yes. Yeah. I went over there to Baltimore. They had gave me an invitation to come to be with them, and I gotta say I respect the Orioles organization more than I respect the Astro organization, because they actually, even because my arm was not 100%, so when I went over with them, they still gave me the opportunity to start. And when I was not starting, they would, tend to my arm and tend to me, and they asked me, what do I need? Da, 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 da. So I thought they were going to release me, because I couldn't perform, but they did. So they kept me and kept asking me, what do I need? And so at one time I just wind up and I got frustrated, and I was like, man, just send me home. I quit.
Yeah.
And so I went home, but what happened is they called me again, and they said, look, you go with any doctor you want to go to and you get fixed. You go and get your arm taken care of. So I wind up, there was two people. There was Dr. Job in LA and Dr. Andrews in Birmingham. So I knew Dr. Andrews because when he was down in Birmingham, he used to come to our games all the time when I played in Georgia. So, he was like, another one of those people that guide you and lead you. So I used to talk to him all the time, So I went down there, and he saw me. He brought in a couple other specialists, and they looked around, on the arm, and they had asked me. They said, well, the arms. They said the ligament's not torn, but there's a little. They said it's stretched to the T. They said it might rip if you keep playing. He said, and you can go ahead and play until it tears, and then we'll put it back together, or you could just not play. And so he said, so. Oh man, it hurts. It hurts so bad. It hurts so bad. But what I could do is I could pitch on a Monday, but Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, no, I couldn't even wipe the my butt during that time, because of that. But then I could come back. I can come back on that fifth day, and I can throw you. I can get you 2 good innings, but nothing after that. So, I just went home. I want to do the surgery. That's where I met Israel. That's where I met Israel Sanchez at.
Sanchez.
I met Israel Sanchez, Ben McDowell, and Jose Rios. We were all there at the same time to see Dr. Andrews. Israel was telling me, don't do it. Don't do it, because I've already, done this here. And he was having some problems, because it would always hurt him, and he used to tell, and he would say that he was, going back and forth. And Ben McDowell, he did not come back from the injury. Jose, he played a little bit longer, so I'm, like I said, I'm just one of the ones, I start thinking about, okay, what's the benefits of, do I do it, or this, that, and the other. You could do a year rehab, and, I could possibly still come back and play. However, I'm thinking, I don't know if I really want to do that,
So now you're thinking long term. You're thinking long term now. So it sounds like to me some of the same thoughtful same thoughtful process you put into the Mets decision, the Nebraska decision, and the Houston decision. That same kind of thoughtful process led you to this decision with Baltimore Orioles.
Correct. Same thing. You start thinking, and that's where that African American, that Afro American league had come into play, because you have those ex-ball players, you have people who's been through these things that can give you some legitimate good advice to help you, and they look like you, they walk like you, they talk like you, they live around you, so they understand all the things that go into what you're thinking about, and so that's why I say, like being in that particular league around people like us and playing the game that we all love, it really helps us down the road, especially when people love you and care about you and want to, they want to see
Absolutely.
success.
Good.
Absolutely.
Yes, they want to see your success.
Absolutely.
Anthony, we're just about to wrap it up now. We really appreciate your time, and your story is really, really inspiring.
Good
We have
stories.
just two questions I want you to kind of address before we close it out. One is, what is your connection to the game now? And two, what advice do you have for young ball players who may be trying to make their way through high school, junior college? The travel ball scene is where it is right now. Well, can you hit those two questions for me? Your connection to the game now, and what advice do you have for a young pitcher?
Okay. How I connect to baseball right now is I'm not out there playing it, but I'm a mental health therapist. So what I do, I work with individuals, on their mental mindset of playing the game. The connection that I have is just like when I'm sitting down talking to you, I'm letting individuals know what was told to me about people that actually talking about. Then I've talked to them from my particular experience. So a lot of our younger ball players, they're not mentally strong. They don't understand all the avenues, what can go in for the what ifs and the things that happen if the dream isn't there for you. If the dream does not happen, what do I do next? Because we see a lot of individuals that after they're playing, they don't know what else to do. And I was one of them also, is because my whole world was baseball. So that's one thing what I would say about the younger kids that's coming up. Your whole world can't be centered around baseball. Now it can be 90% of baseball or sports. However, the other 10%, you have to be mentally prepared for the what if. What if this doesn't happen? What if that doesn't happen? What do I do from here? How do I take this turn? What if the coach doesn't like me? Is that a card? Yeah, you go through that all the time. Is that a card for kicking the coach or calling them name or smacking them down? Like what if? Because we don't understand that from one coach talk to the other coach, and when you be talking like this and you did all of this stuff, then you didn't ruin your chances of moving to the next place. So you want to be mentally strong and prepared to go out to play the game, to understand about how this game actually operates. It is a game. It's not, it's not something that, is life changing. I had to learn that, as I went on, the things that could happen that I really didn't want to happen, because I wanted those millions. I should have had those millions. The millions was better than Tom Blab, and I was better than Roger Craig. I was better than all of these particular guys that you would sit up and talk about. However, it didn't happen for me. So mentally, do I go and start drinking and smoking, talking about how this here? Do I just go in a tailspin? No, there has to be another plan that you will have in the process of you playing the game. What else would you have for plan B or plan C? So those are the things that I would be, like talking to the younger kids that's coming up, enjoy the game, play hard, play it fair, always make sure that if there's someone that's going to be the best, you be that one. because they're not gonna take everybody that look like us, talk like us, and walk like us. They're not. It's just not gonna happen.
Absolutely.
Okay,
Absolutely.
so you have to be that one.
Absolutely. That was pretty good.
So in order for you to be physically and all those things, you will be all right. You should be all right.
That was pretty good, Anthony. We we appreciate you giving out that information, Big Kels, and you were a damn good guest. Damn good story.
I
For
appreciate
real.
it.
You a legend for real. I know this for a fact. I've seen you. And like I said, we just really appreciate you giving up the time and the information on this show, man. For
Oh,
sure.
no problem. I appreciate it, man. Thank you very much.
Yeah. We're gonna get
And
ready
wait
to
a minute.
close. Go ahead.
Westside?
West Side, I got you, baby. He representing the West Side. Man, you a damn good guest, man. And once again, thanks for coming on, man. And
I
we
appreciate
gonna
you. Thank
we
you.
gonna close it. We gonna close it out, y'all. All right, thanks for coming on, man. That was a good one, Bill. That was a good one, man.
It was an excellent story, man.
Yeah.
Excellent story. So this is Anthony. Anthony, I know the name. I know about those historic games against CVS, Lane Tech, but to be able to sit down with him and hear his story, he should have been there. He should have been there.
Yeah. A
He
lot
should have been
that
there.
I really didn't know. Hey, we've been on here for an hour. It was well worth it. Damn good show. And thanks you guys for watching. And once again, if you woke, you are definitely winning. Thanks, Bill.
All right, thank you, bro.
Peace, y'all.